adults. We're going to talk about what every driver must know. I'm going to go into some of the elements. I'm going to share some experiences and best practices to help you, and then I'll share some good stories to keep you on the road. Your driving record. In 2022, your driving record says a lot about you. It tells people what you're really about. If you have a lot of tickets, you might not be trustworthy. A lot of companies, school districts, businesses will look into your private life. They'll check your social medias. They'll run your driving record. They'll check your credit. All of these things do mean something. And I think a lot of beginning drivers, 16, 17, 25, 30, I teach adults too, we all can make mistakes. But if you're getting a lot of speeding tickets, um, a lot of civil violations, DUIs, you definitely will lose your driving license. So your driving record is truly a reflection of you. Example, I'm a state certified instructor. I teach teens and adults. And if I get tickets, then I won't be able to do my profession. So your driving record is a huge reflection on you. You want to try to keep it as good as possible through your entire driving career, and that's facts. So that's what I suggest. So learn how to drive at the speed limit. Learn how not to road rage because that's really common um, across the world today. Drivers cutting you off, aggressively tailgating you. And if you're one, and I used to be one of those that would run late to an event, you find yourself speeding, cutting in and out of traffic. So I've learned leave early, take your time, and be patient. Next, let's talk about the point system. Some states have point system. A point system is where you get points for a ticket. Speeding, you might get 3 points. Reckless driving, you might get 6 points. Open alcohol, you might get 6 points. Every state is different, every province is different. The point system is a way to, again, reward good drivers. If you have 0 points, you're deemed a good driver. If you have a lot of points, then that can mean a negative image because you don't know who is looking through your private information. Freedom of Information Act will allow companies, individuals to look into your personal driving record, check your credit, uh, how do you vote, because there's no privacy today. So uh, it all starts off with good fundamentals from when you first start, whether you're 14, 9, 17, 25, and a lot more young people today, from what I've seen as an instructor, are waiting to get their license. They're not quite ready, they're immature. Maybe mom and dad didn't have the money for driver's education, and it is very expensive. Upwards of $450 to $650 for segment one, segment two. So it's really important that you, when you're emotionally and mentally ready and financially ready to take driver's education, because it will move you to the next level of your life where you can be independent, you can get up and go to work, which is a really special feeling. You can go to a job, you can take yourself to a sporting event and come back home. So that point system can be really devastating. Let's talk about some of the offenses. 6 points could be reckless driving, refusal to take the chemical breath test, and then they're going to take your license because certain states or provinces are very strict on drivers under the influence. A 4 point violation will be drag racing. I see a lot more of this, from the Motor City, right? Detroit, that means something. So I see a lot of people in track hawks, Hellcats, Scat Packs doing 100, 150. Yesterday, I witnessed a semi truck. This person was supposed to stop on red. They were making a right turn. They did not. A person who happened to be in a scat pack, and I'm not against high performance vehicles. I have one myself. I have an SRT Jeep. This person, the truck should have stopped right turn or red. It did not. So as a result, the truck made the turn being really wide and big. It was in almost the second lane. The Scat Pack, Charger Scat Pack, that's one step down from the Hellcat, they made their left turn. So basically, you had the truck making the right turn really wide. You had the Scat Pack. There was almost a collision, and it would have been the driver's fault. The driver would have been at fault. So I'm sitting here, me being a driver's ed instructor, I'm watching, seeing how this thing is going to unfold. So naturally, the driver of the Dodge Scat Pack kind of hit the gas and swerved, and then it kind of tried to cut off the semi truck, but it couldn't. So those simple driver errors could lead to an accident, lead to a road rage situation, and both drivers are at fault. The person in the Scat Pack should have been more defensive. Just because you have a high performance vehicle and 4, 5, 600 horsepower, you still have to be responsible um, on the street, on the track, wherever you are. And the driver of the semi truck, that driver was at fault. And that would cost that driver, because now we're talking about a CDL situation, commercial driver's license. And if you get enough tickets, you're going to lose your commercial driver's license. So truck drivers, if you're watching and listening, you need to be extremely careful and really observe the rules even to a higher degree. Okay. Some 3-point violations. Careless driving. That could have been that semi-truck driver. Failure to stop at a railroad crossing. Now, I want to talk about alcohol and drugs. The location I'm from, marijuana is legal for people over 21. So now we have people under the influence of marijuana or drugs. We have people who are legal to drink at 21. So this brings a whole new situation in for law enforcement. And we have people, some who are under the influence of marijuana, under the influence of drugs out here, and they're driving. So, and I'm not one to judge people. I'm an observer. I've seen things change by having 23, 24 years of experience in the transportation industry, teaching driver's education, working with teens, working with adults, working with organizations that help 18-year-olds get their license. So it's quite eye-opening. And I always share these real-life stories. So we know there are very strict guidelines on alcohol. As soon as you take your first drink, you're already under the influence. And you really have to be careful with that situation, because it's a really easy, slippery slope to fall down into. So a lot of restaurants make money off a happy hour. You know, they offer half off drinks, come in, get something to eat, free chips, free whatever, and then you get a drink. And then one leads to another. So you have to be really sensible with that. Um, Operating and navigating or being in physical control of your vehicle is the most important thing. We're talking about aircraft. Believe it or not, there are pilots under the influence. We're talking about snowmobiles, off-road recreational vehicles. We all have to maintain best practice. Let's talk about reexamination. I'm driving a adult. I'm not going to say their name. They're in their 30s. I'll give you a quick story. Their license was taken away, and I'll go more into that in another video, a podcast. I'll have them on as a guest. But a lot of states have reexamination, and we'll be going tomorrow for this reexamination. We've been practicing the last 4, 5, 6 drives. So what happens in the reexamination, you don't have a third party road test. You actually have a person from the state or the province that you're in. They're going to sit in, and basically this adult, she has to drive through some neighborhoods. She has to make some right turns, some left turns. You got to turn in the nearest lane, keep your turn as short as possible, turn hand over hand. Her backstory, she has some vision issues. She actually lost, listen to me, she lost her eyesight, multiple surgeries, and then she regained her eyesight, has to wear special glasses. So they requested my assistance, and you never know who's watching, and I'm blessed to help her. So She's going to have the re-examination tomorrow, and it's very, very stressful. I want all of you to know this. And we've been practicing. The woman can drive. Usually, I'm driving 16 to 21-year-olds. She is in her 30s, so she can drive. I mean, she can turn, she can steer, she can park. The turns are a little inconsistent. And we had these real conversations, and we'll do some podcasts and get her on and share her backstory, and it's very interesting. It's more common than you think. But this woman will be going to Secretary of State tomorrow, and she requested me to come, and I'm going to give her that emotional support, that driver's ed, uncle or dad support, and that's what it's about, because it's about helping people. And I want to see her through this process, because I've spent multiple lessons helping her, but she's got one opportunity. And if she does not meet the standards of the state, she'll have to retake driver's education over. And this is a full grown woman in her 30s. So this is serious. And I told her to take a breath back, positive mindset, because I'm a really big person on positive mindsets. If you see my content on various platforms, it's about positive mindset. I got a good sense of humor, but I'm real. And I decided to, connect with all of you. But she will be taking this test, and we're going through neighborhoods, making right turns, left turns, real small, narrow streets, tricky yield signs, tricky stop signs. Um, and if she does that, then my fingers are crossed, and I'm praying she's going to pass, and this will change her life. Okay, so that re-exam is very serious, and you do have to go to Secretary of State to get the re-exam. Um, any crash resulting in a fatal, where the crash report indicates that you were negligent or have been drinking, you're going to go to jail. You have been in 3 or more traffic crashes, you'll go for a re-exam. You've been convicted of a violation, you've accumulated 12 or more points. So we're talking about drivers who are careless. So this is serious, and I told her, just take your time. I'm going to be there to support you and help you, and we'll give you some insight into this. Okay. Also, voter registration. When you turn 18, the Secretary of State will ask you, do you want to register to vote? Are you a U.S. citizen? Are you 18 years old, right? Are you currently not serving a jail or prison sentence? Because if you have a felony, you would not be able to vote, and you will lose that right. Oh, if you don't know, I'm also a school teacher, so school teaching and driver's education go hand in hand. And being able to vote and express your political position is important, whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent, right? So that is extremely important, because that license is a gateway or ticket to independence and to growth. So it's deeper than just getting your license. Also, we have state IDs and real IDs, and the country's moving forward with the real ID. I have a chauffeur's license. I have an enhanced license, so I can travel through Canada, and that's awesome. More on that later. But those things are important, and I also encourage my son to get his real ID and his enhanced license. Okay. I think the biggest thing, we need to protect children and teens when we drive. You got to have safe driving behaviors. Your son or daughter's watching you. Beginning drivers, your little brother or sister's watching you. 12, 13, 14, 9, they're watching your behavior. Are you road raging? Are you cussing out people? Are you drifting all over the road? Are you trying to race everyone? Are you burning out mom and dad's tires? That's a learned behavior. And I'm always very honest with parents and students when I tell them this, that your sons and daughters are watching you. And to be honest, parents, whoever's in the front is the co-pilot, and no backseat driving. And that's really a hard conversation I have with parents, that whoever's in the front seat, you have to give directions to your young driver. If we have 2 adults talking to a teen, they're going to be confused. I do have a video short on that, but I just want you to really connect to that. And remember, you don't want to leave a child in the car unattended. Every year, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of kids that die in a vehicle because they're left there in a car seat because we as parents get so busy. I got to go to Secretary of State. I got to go to the store. I got to go pick up grandma for her therapy session. Then I got to get to work, and heaven forbid, you left your son or daughter in the back seat. What are some common things I see as an instructor? I see a lot of parents rushing their sons and daughters to take driver's ed and they're not ready. Example, I'll be driving a 19-year-old very soon. Took driver's education, a little bit nervous. They paid for 5 lessons. I'll be driving her starting tomorrow. And they want me to go over all the fundamentals, get her ready for the road test. So the question is, how come she did not pick it up the first time? Maybe the instructor wasn't thorough. Maybe she is a little bit nervous. And I'll find out their backstory because I want to get to know who I'm driving. And good instructors will take the time to learn about you. They'll ask those questions. Hey, what do you do for a living? Tell me about yourself. Because it's about people. This job, and it's not really a job. I love teaching driver's ed. My goal is just to open my own company and have Kahoot, Quizlet, a computer driving simulation game that they can get into. Try to have the best cars. I think it's about customer service, right? You can't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna open a driving school," and then you're rude and disrespectful to the parents and people who are watching this. There's a shortage of driver's ed instructors. I've been doing this, 23, 24 years. If I want to work 180, 150 hours, I can, but at what cost? My mental health, my physical health, high blood pressure, diabetes. Every 2 years, instructors have to get tested. So I'm trying to be very careful of how I schedule so I can really be alert and have good energy and talk to your instructors. There are 3 types: ones that don't talk, ones that overtalk, or ones that are happy, joyful, energetic. That's me. I'm happy, joyful, and energetic. Let's talk about quick vehicle maintenance. You got to make sure your tires to your vehicle are in good shape. The most important thing is your tires, right? And then next is you connecting with your vehicle, the gas, the brake, wear thin-soled shoes. And a lot of questions I get, I have a lot of anxiety when I go out. You need to have a support system. Anxiety is real. You may have to see a physical therapist. You may have to have that conversation with your instructor. What are your goals in driver's ed? Do you just want to drive in the neighborhood? Do you want to get on the road to not get on the expressway? I get a lot of questions about this, and I'll be connecting more with that. But driving anxiety is real. You need to drive during off-peak hours. You don't want to drive at night because that can add more anxiety. Rush hour is very stressful. It took me an hour and a half to get home yesterday. Normally it's 35 or 45 minutes. So you want to make sure you have more than half a tank of gas. You want to pack your patience, maybe have a little snack in the car, have your air conditioning on, low chilled music, and be patient because you have to pack your patience or you will road rage and snap and just go off on someone. Other tip of advice, you've got to consistently practice. If you're not practicing with mom and dad, or mom and dad don't have time for you to practice, you won't develop enough skills to pass your road test. Where I'm from, in most states and provinces have a test. You got to be able to parallel park, stall park, angle park up or down a hill. And another question I have, if I'm parking downhill, what do I do? First, you want to pull up your park brake. If you're parking downhill, you want to turn your front wheels to the right. So if the car slips out of gear, the park brake will catch it and the car will roll into the curb. It's parking downhill. Okay. If you're parking uphill, you want to turn your wheels away from the curb, pull up your park brake. If the car slips out of gear, it will roll literally all the way backwards. My goals, I want to continue to give you good information, develop some online teaching materials for you. If this brought you value, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, Driving with Miles. Bye.